So I just like starting podcasts with just stuff, mate. I can't even bother doing intros anymore. I want to get so this is for everybody listening. This is the one and only Black Sheep Media, aka Hamza. Dude, give us a just a quick background into you, what got where you are, what you do, where you are just now, just so people have got context on who you actually are and how fucking awesome you are as well.
Yeah, so I'm a freelance creative from Glasgow, Scotland, the one and only from where Gus is from as well, if nobody knew, represent. So I specialize in content for fitness and health and wellness brands, mainly around central belt of Scotland. So I kind of got into the game professionally about 2 years ago. This August it'll be where I've made the jump and went full time. Before that, bit of a hobbyist, just finished uni, was working like a full time corporate job, and I think it was just after 1 year of corporate, I was like, I can't do 30 years of working for somebody else the rest of my life. And that's when I've actually found Gus at that point, and I knew, right, okay, I kind of need to make the next step to push this creative journey because I knew I was good at it, I knew I could get better at it, and yeah, I kind of did a push to kind of help me get into the industry a bit more and sort of build the confidence and working with the right clients.
It's all right, mate. It's not a testimonial. I don't need test. You know, it's nothing like that. It's chatting about you, dude. It's we're celebrating you. The whole point. Like, yeah, a disclaimer. Hamza's one of my previous one-to-one clients. But it's I can talk to you guys a lot better because I know what you had to fucking do. Like, I
Yeah.
know your anxieties. I know your darkest, deepest inner worries and thoughts about business. I know when you were at the lowest. I know when you were at the highest. So I think that's why you guys make such good people to have on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, full disclaimer, you used to be a client, but I don't want it to be testimonial type shit, mate. It's literally about you and your journey.
Yep.
And before I press record, we were talking about how uh, the jump, there's going to be so many of my clients listening to this now being like, stop bullying me into going full time. You keep talking about it all the time. You give us a rundown on where you were before you went full time and what you were doing, how busy you were, because you weren't like working in a casual a retail store doing part time. Like you had some
No.
serious career goals, serious education. So where were you before creative? What was that? What was that looking like for you back in the day?
Yeah, so I finished university. I done 5 years at uni, done 4 years at Glasgow, done a year's masters in London at Imperial College, and then COVID hit that year. And then I struggled to get a job for like a year after that. And I just lost so much faith in the system. And I've just studied at like a top four university in the world, got a scholarship to go there, and I can't get a graduate job. It's 30K a year. I was like, what the fuck is this?
So I'm doing
Um,
coffee. I'm doing the co
yeah,
I'm making the coffee for the guy that makes the tea. What the fuck's this?
exactly. And I was delivering pizzas. When I finished 5 years of uni, I was working for Domino's and independent takeaways delivering pizzas. Is this what 5 years of uni
So,
is? And
so many shooters that I've coached. I never knew that. So many shooters that I've coached specifically used to work at Domino's.
as well, shout out Domino's. But yeah, I think for me that was like the biggest pain point when I just felt like it gave me that drive to like, you know what, I need to do something with this. I can't let my life, my career depend on anybody else. But
Mhm.
I knew I can't just go from 0 to 100. I need to have a bit of strategy, have approach to it. So my goal was like, okay, let's get a job. Let's get a job where all my necessities are covered. I'll limit certain aspects of my life, social life, holidays, use my evenings and weekends to sort of outreach, build up clients, get more experience in the industry. So that's what I done. I got a remote job working as a geologist from home, which was perfect because remote managed more my own time better.
Hold on, you
And
can't you can't just say that and keep going. Working as a geologist from home.
yeah, exactly. So that was another reason I love geology at uni, right? We used to go on like the wildest field trips, went to like the Pyrenees, parts of Spain, all over Scotland, went to Oman, and I graduated and now I'm just sat behind a laptop and I was like, this is not it. So I was like, yeah, I love being outdoors and being out in the world. And I was like, especially if I love filmmaking and taking photos, I was like, there's not much that's going to happen if I'm working from home as a geologist. So I used that job just kind of as leverage to help me get to the next step with the creative stuff. So I knew, right, okay, right, I need to get more clients in and I need it to be sort of a retainer based model where I know I've got regular work that I can leave the job and it's a similar sort of salary. So on average, like the average graduate salary, you probably get between 2 to 3 thousand a month. So I goes, that's a small number. That's the first target that I need to hit. Was doing a couple of independent projects, maybe paying like 500 to 1,000, but again, hit and miss when they would come. again, started to kind of reformulate what my offer was to clients to kind of work through that retainer model where like sort of the micro content visit, the monthly short form, that sort of stuff for clients. And that way I kind of knew it would benefit them that they get regular content and it benefits me. I know I've got regular work. And as I worked, spent all my evenings, weekends, and I was really busy. I think for 6 months of, what was it, 2023, the first 6 months was just chaos. Where I think you remember, Gus, before I hit that tipping point in the summer where I was doing every evening, every weekend, using all my holidays just to do shoots.
Mate,
But it gave,
I told you, I was like, I'm gonna just before you go full time, I will. Well, let's back up a little bit because that's an interesting kind of psychology that I want to get into. Because I remember I had to have maybe three onboarding calls with you to get you to have the faith and take the leap. Because you had some full-time work going on, there was some part-time bits and bobs here or there, but ultimately, you were where most of us were. There was no identity. The social media didn't have
mhm,
structure. You had a
yeah.
few bits and bobs bouncing around with like what whiskey and some jackets and shit. And I think, and I was like, "Well, how are you broke? They're pretty good brands." They're like, "I don't know, mate." And I'm like, "Okay, so let's figure this out." So, what was the self-doubt? What was the psychology of like not being able to go full time? Like you were holding on, you were holding on to a dead cert, which was maybe a job or a relative income. But it didn't see, it took a while to bully you and lovingly bully you.
Yeah.
So what was the psychology about there?
Yeah, I think coming from like the spiritual point of view, where it's like you're holding on to your past self, that just stop you from getting to your new self. And I think that was it was part of that full-time job was keep me secure and the money. And maybe I think I felt the doubt and the aspect that, oh, I don't know how my work's going to be as soon as I go full time. What if it just dips?
Uh,
What if the work just disappears one day and then I've got nothing coming in? Whereas
yeah.
I like to be busy and I like to have things to do. And I think I would just end up going mad. So I was like, no, I kind of want to keep myself overly busy just to stop having so much time that I'm thinking, shit, what do I do? So I think that was part of the reason. But it just took getting a bit more work just to give me enough confidence where I was like, you know what, I could have done it way sooner and I probably should have done it way sooner, but I think I just wanted to kind of cement that next step or that next phase of me before I made the jump.
Mate, I think you did it right. The more years that I go through coaching, I'm proving time and time again that the best clients, not the best clients in terms of, well, yeah, the best clients in adherence, but also revenue and results for them
Hmm.
are the ones that more often than not start off in something like my private business group, but they start off on a part-time basis where they're receiving
Hmm.
support and education from us. And that usually means, I mean, I've realized this today. Almost everybody that we have that's part-time is hitting 4 grand a month
Hmm.
part time.
Yeah.
What the hell, apart from being a fucking stripper, makes you 4 grand, 4 grand a month part time? And they're only doing five, six, seven, maybe eight shoots a month. And I'm like, holy
Yeah.
shit, that's came from 4 or 5 months of part time education.
Hmm.
Whilst, where I'm not battling against people anymore, where I'm like, you must go full time now. I'm actually learning, and this is a lot through my business coach as well. I'm like, no, that's fine. If you're comfortable where you are, I will keep you
Yeah.
exactly where you are. What I think helps us is seeing that the grass can be greener. Excuse me, where the best way to describe it actually is that you need to be kind of like a frog in boiling water. Like you need
Mm.
things to heat up around you for you to
Yeah.
finally pay attention.
Yeah.
Because if we just go bang, you're full time, then it's like, oh, holy shit. But if we can
Yeah.
drip feed you energy, if we can drip feed you revenue, then what you thought you wanted to do is no longer what you want to do. Like I get clients who will say to me, "Oh yeah, if I could just get to like 4K a month and maybe
Hmm.
10 shoots, I'd be happy."
Yeah.
And if I'm like, lol, we'll see what happens in 6 months when we smash that because you'll be asking for more. And sure enough,
Mm.
every time, just because you're able to see that the grass is a little bit greener, your idea eventually changes.
Yeah.
So I think you just needed the right amount of bullying slash love. And then eventually,
Tough love works.
yeah, I mean, it fucking does. But then, even when you went, even then, when you went full time, it still took you a while to do like one-to-one coaching, or it took us a little
Yeah.
while just to get up there.
Yeah.
So, like, what was the kind of psychology? What was the first anxieties around when everything eventually went full time for you? Like, where was your brain? Was it like, yes, let's fucking get stuck in, or was it like, oh my God?
A bit of both. I think when I went full time, there was pros and cons, and the fact that when I went full time, I realized like everything that kind of happens is a result of what I do. Whereas
It's
how
all
my life looks,
yeah.
yeah, how my life looks, how much money I make, all that. Like we had the monthly actions that we would go over every month. How much I ticked off them, how much I done in my outreach, how much I market myself, spoke to clients, improved what I was doing, like content wise, project management wise, all of the amount of time and energy I'd put into that is going to be a direct reflection of what I see on in the external. And
Yeah.
then so that was like giving me the push, but at the same time giving me the feel like holy shit, like I need to be the one that drills myself in every day to make sure I'm doing it. That's why I need support from like someone like yourself that can kind of help you see outside of yourself and get outside your own thoughts a little bit. Because yes, it is a tough battle, but it's just framing it in the right way can it can help you more than it can hold you back.
It's interesting the way you put that there of kind of it's like getting out of your own way, I think.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
I think there's a lot of trust that we don't have for ourselves.
100%.
You
I
know,
think the biggest thing I've learned from all creatives that is holding them back, because now that I've kind of built to a level where I'm happy with, and I've seen the growth over a couple of years, when I see people that are just starting out from the business point of view, but they've done it for years, and I just see how bad the self-belief is in them and how little they understand the business side of it. And like these are people that I know whose work is unreal and they could be killing it, but it's just something as simple as like
thank you.
self-belief is what's stopping them.
That's that.
And it's just that's why it's so important to have the right people around you who have done it before,
Now,
and it's so key.
that's funny you say that though, right? Because it's not a challenge to what you've said, but maybe it's an addition. We could easily just say all day. I think too many people are like, oh, it's just self-belief, or it's just
Mm,
confidence, and I'm like, cool, but where the fuck does that come from? So
exactly.
this is why I think foundations, structure, touch points, education are
Hmm.
going to be the most important things, because when you have those, you then end up exposed to the marketplace, which means you then end up a better problem solver, which means you then end up
100%.
getting paid based on the problems that you solve, then the revenue goes up,
Exactly.
then the confidence goes up. But it's Hormozy says it really well, and I think it's one of my favorite quotes. I've said it before, and he says, confidence, self-belief doesn't come from shouting affirmations in the mirror. It comes from having a stack of
Stack of proof.
undeniable proof that you are who you fucking say you are. That's the exact word.
100%.
And
100%.
I realize, mate, with my own business, I don't shout half as much as I should about what we do or what I do or
Mm,
what we're capable of. And maybe that's the naivety in me where I just think if you do the right thing that it'll take care of itself. So I need to do a lot more of shouting about how we've built our own confidence and how we've built our own proof of concept. But yeah, even something as simple as there's your price list. See that
yep.
is like 25% of confidence that you never had before.
Yeah. 100%.
Even something like that is how you tell a client no. That's like
Yeah.
50% of confidence. So, oh, actually, speaking of confidence, here's the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Or I'll tell you what, I'll ask you. I think the answer is outreach. But what do
Mm,
you think you has been one of the most kind of confident driven parts of your business that has got you to where you are? I would have said from knowing you for so long that a lot of it was to do with confidence in communication, conversation, aka outreach. Because you always
yeah.
have a beautiful tactic of basically DMing someone and being like, mate, your work's shite, I can do a better job. And then being like, well, that's offensive, but okay, I'll hear you out. Like even when I do that to videographers, I'm like, I can see on your page you're struggling. Like, do you want to talk about it? And they're like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? I'm killing it. I'm the best in it. I'm like, all right, okay, whatever. So, yeah, what would you think? Because I would have said outreach, but what would you think is one of the biggest kind of strengths that you've had in business that's helped with building confidence, more traction, more proof of concept?
Yeah, I think it ties in with the outreach side of it, but I think the whole communication network side, for me, that's been the main one. And I think in the aspect, same with my approach when I do the outreach is first, when I have the conversations, is realizing they are still just people at the end of the day, and
Yes.
framing it more on their perspective, like not framing, oh, I need to outreach and network with these people to grow my business, but I need to frame it that I want to network and find people that can benefit from what I do as a business.
Mm.
And that helps me in the conversations, just having that sort of subconscious thoughts that it's all about them, figuring out what their pain points are as a business. It's not just me selling photo or video, it's figuring out how I can add value to what they're doing and improve what they're doing through content. I think that's been the biggest one because when people feel it's all about them, they feel more comfortable like wanting to talk about their business because these businesses probably get loads of DMs from agencies, from ads companies, other freelancers all the time. And the last thing they want to do is respond and have another conversation with somebody else that might seem just as similar. So I think having that approach more personalized, and there has been, I think, starting out, more of my outreach was quite blunt, targeted, straight to the point. Um, but now it's like a hybrid approach where it's a very warm approach first, building a relationship. I've had clients that I've started working with recently that we've just had simple conversations in the DMs like a year ago, just general chat, a bit about business, a bit about personal life. And when we started shooting now, like they said that when I spoke to them a year ago, they knew that I was the guy they wanted to come to, but they just weren't at a point in their business to have the money to invest. But just from building this relationship, or if it's a lot of the fitness industry, it's quite interconnected. So when I've been in gyms, just yeah, networking with people, talking with people, not necessarily selling them all the time, saying, "Oh, I do photo video." They know who I am, they know the name, and they know who I work with. But just building that personal side of the relationship with them, I think that's why they might want to choose me over somebody else. Because it's like a lot of people hide behind their camera, hide behind their work, whereas for me, it's all about the people at the end of the day. People buy from people. It's like the old saying.
Biggest problems you've had though? So if we're talking about the confidence,
Hmm.
if we're talking about something that's been a really good muscle for you, which is people, networking, communication, confidence there.
Hmm.
Some other people, they might be inbound, I'm really good at videos, I'm
Hmm.
really good at graphics, blah, 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 whatever it is. But what's the, because the stories that I've got are endless of like fucking up outreach basically. When
Hmm.
did you what was the turning point for you when you started getting good at outreach? Like what problems were you experiencing before? Were you just constantly getting shut down, or where were you with outreach? Where was that turning point where it started to get really confident?
Yeah, I think it was when I was maybe more focused on myself that I realized it wasn't landing, and I just got like a couple of messages back that just I think one woman, I think she was a makeup beauty business, sent, I think I sent you a screenshot. That's what she sent me, like the she goes, film this, and gave me the wanker emoji. I was like, what the fuck? I offered her spec work, and that's what she sent back, and I was like, okay, maybe something needs to change in my strategy. It's not their fault. Maybe it's how I'm coming across. So
Oh no,
I think
she
it was at that.
filmed she filmed the wanker emoji and then sent it to you.
She no, no, she took the used the hand emoji for the wanker sign basically. It goes,
Ah,
film this.
nice, nice.
I was like, fucking hell. I was giving you something for free there, and I was just like, if you don't want it, you don't want it. But yeah, I think that's when I kind of realized, right, I need to make sure what my offer is that I'm going to offer them to do. It's not really about me wanting to get spec for my portfolio or to work in that industry for my business. It's like how I add value to the clients. I think that's what gave me the confidence. And I think when I got to the point, so like Alex and Moses says, it's always a numbers game. And I think when I had a couple of projects land from cold outreach and that led to continuous work, and
Yeah.
people had put their trust in me when I'd said what the budget was, put the trust in me, loved the content, seen the results. That's what gave me the confidence. It's like, as you were saying, that Alex Moses saying, it's a stack of proof that you need. So it's like it's a snowball effect. Once that kind of happened, that kind of gave me the trust in myself. That especially when, because I'm 28 now. When I started, we're probably at 26. So then when I'm working with business owners that are like 40, 45, and they're willing to spend thousands on someone that's half their age to do
Yeah.
what to do with their marketing, what their content, it gives you confidence. You're like, holy shit, like, you know what I mean? You're like, gives you that belief in yourself that, you know what, people are willing to invest in what I do because they see the value in it, they've seen the value, and they're going to continue to see the value. So yeah, I think just get the snowball started, and that is what will build the confidence. And that's what happened for me. I think it was a couple of good projects. I think when I first started doing cold outreach that landed, a dental one, namely, which was a really good project, another aesthetics one. So yeah, that's what gave me the confidence.
Specworks, as you say there, Specworks always been a huge one for me to help people to get their foot in the door. Because yeah, it's like trying to sell to someone when you don't necessarily have anything to prove
Yep.
that you can sell it. There's no proof of concept there. It's funny you say about that, mate, because I do a lot of free training. I do my own version of spec work,
Mm,
where yeah, I could probably do free seminars and all these different things, and maybe I should. But I'm quite hot at the for a while now on doing like free training.
Mm,
And I've had people message me back from me just sending them free training after like speaking
yeah,
about their work, and they're like, "Oh, mate, I really appreciate you even noticed my video and stuff." And they're like, "Super appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, thanks for the compliments on my color grading or something." And then about a week later, I'll be like, "Spoke to them. Do you know what? I'll ping them some free training. I'll ping them some bits. I haven't even asked you for anything yet. All I've done is actually give you stuff, and I don't even know if I will ask you for anything because we haven't had a conversation yet."
mm,
And I've had replies that have been like, get out of my DMs. Imagine DMing me. Who do you think you are? And I'm like, excuse, that's how you speak to professionals. And they're like, haha, mate, you're getting blocked. And this is like videographers that have got maybe 1,000 followers. They work with clients that
yeah,
me and you
yeah,
know. And I'm like, okay, there's something going on there. There's something going on there.
yeah.
Mhm. So
It's the ego, I think, of creatives. I think it's the ego.
oh wait,
It's quite.
I think it's just humans because you've had
Mm,
well, and the funny thing is that yeah, and the fun even in my case, didn't even ask for anything, but
yeah,
to go back to the spec work is something that we coach it in the gold standard. Spec work is basically just an offer for work that doesn't carry any charge, but it has a specific kind of pitch. It has a specific offer to it, and I think mate, probably 95% of all spec work every one
mm,
of my clients have ever done turns into paid work. But
yep,
you give away so much of your power if you don't have conditions. And that's the
yep,
point in spec work that
yep,
it's a on my back belly in the air offer and submission,
hmm
but it does come with conditions. So I think it's quite important, yeah, that you said that about helping get in there. So well, what about where you are now in terms of what do you not have confidence with? Like I like talking to people about this. I'm like, so
hmm
say you're a six-figure business owner, which you are, you've been going down the road of full time now for what, 2 years plus six
yep.
to 12 months of part-time. Like, mate, you're absolutely fucking killing it. But what keeps Black Sheep Media up at night? Do the basics still keep you up, or do the big things still keep you up, you know?
So a few
Be
things.
honest now. Come on, it's okay.
Yeah, so I definitely still think pricing can always be an issue with pricing projects to confidence sometimes because you always get inquiries from lower budget clients and you'll get so much resistance
Hmm.
and that can make you question yourself. And I think we had this challenge a lot where I was getting like big projects validated in the thousands, and then somebody would come in, maybe it could go a wee bit quieter up outside my retainer work. Then somebody would come in at a lower budget project, 500 to a grand, and so much resistance, then you end up
Not
questioning
even not
yourself.
even 500 to a grand. Try fucking
Yeah,
400 to 500.
yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, then I was hitting up you, and then this is where we will try to just remind ourselves that there's clients that are just going to have that type of mindset where their budget's not going to go and want to go above 400, 500, and it's not a reflection of what we do in our work. I think that's still a challenge, reframing that because I think it's how you show up in the marketplace. If you're showing up as like an average videographer or someone that's a hobbyist, you're going to attract the people that are going to want the three, £400 shoots. Whereas you show up someone that's a bit more professional, you've got thought leadership, you've got client results there, you're going to attract people that won't budge when you put a price them at over 1,000 for a project sort of thing. So that was probably the biggest lesson that I learned with dealing with all that. And I think it has filtered out more over the last 12 months, getting those inquiries in. But you still get the odd one now and again, and people just sometimes you just don't understand why a video might cost that, but they want X, Y, and Z done in certain locations, and it doesn't work like that. The other challenge I would say I'm facing right now is I've taken more of an interest into the lead side of content or looking at just not necessarily like offering it as a service, but just looking at how content's performing, like KPIs a little bit, or how does it affect their socials, or just because I think with organics it is a little bit challenging to track, apart from views, what content's performing, and that views doesn't necessarily mean it's performing well because it could be shown to the whole other side of the world that isn't going to buy from that product or service. So that's something I'm trying to want to incorporate into my sort of strategy with clients is just figuring out like how we can work better to make sure we create what will perform better that their business needs. That's definitely, I think, the next stage with the business.
Mate,
And I think because it's for me, I think why it's went so well is value that I give to clients has always been the forefront of my business. And that's why this step I'm trying to integrate because yes, I want the content to look shit hot, but I want to make sure I'm bringing them in the right leads. And that goes back to the same with outreach strategy. The focus is always on them. It's never been, I need their work for my business to make X revenue. if I can give them a certain value that's benefiting their business and growing their business, they, of course they're going to keep paying for it, and that will help alleviate my fears of the self-doubt or the clients are going to disappear one day. Just continuously get better one day at a time, and just keep improving the quality of the product and service you're delivering.
This is something I brought up on a last podcast was it places a transition you go through in business. You can only go through it. Like, this is why it bugs me that there's so many $100 videographers out there that think they're business coaches.
Mm,
You can only go through this transition of exploitation to exploration after
hmm
after you hit a certain level of achievement. So
hmm
I have to kind of get a lot of shooters out of their own heads in the early days
hmm
where there needs to be an element of exploitation, where you're
hmm
exploiting the marketplace, you're exploiting your own time, you're exploiting
hmm
whatever energy you have left,
Yep.
you're exploiting any motivation that you've got because you just need to pay the fucking bills. You know, in your
Yep.
first year or two, you just have to get the work done. But then I think something an absolute positive for us all to strive to is this stage that you're talking about is where you then enter into exploration and
Mm,
you're already
definitely.
doing your 5, 10, 15K kind of guaranteed. Your
Mm,
business starts to turn into this arc reactor of sustainable energy. You still have to put a lot of
yeah.
work into it. But what used to scare you doesn't scare you. What used to keep you up doesn't keep you up anymore. So now you
hmm
actually have the freedom of energy and mindset to
Yeah.
explore a bit more. And some
Definitely.
people explore creatively, some people explore KPIs, content management.
hmm
Some people explore in terms of trying different clientele. Yeah, mate, it's a very beautiful process to go through. An
Yeah.
interesting thing to comment on that as well, though, is you can take something away from that of how creators deal with their own content
hmm
because I'm seeing an unfortunate, an unfortunate generation. I kind of blame myself for this as well, of just videographers that have all of a sudden started to spend more time doing talk to cameras than they have actually celebrating their clients and showcasing
Yeah. Definitely.
showcasing their client relationships. So I think there's a positive attention that needs to be paid to KPIs, not in a tracking sense, but just in a smart looking at your Instagram
Yep.
analytics and saying, well, okay, well, pictures and stuff of me are getting great analytics back because that's showcasing myself. But as soon as I jump on and do a video of me pretending I'm a business coach, for some reason I don't get any DMs on it, and it's like, well, because no one really cares. And
Yeah.
it's not to try and take power away from people, but I think there needs to be a really conscious approach of what we post ourselves and what
Definitely.
actually performs. What do you find? Because that was something that we had with you as well, is when we just started putting imagery, just sexy imagery of Big Daddy Hamza out. That was one of the biggest positive KPIs that you ever had in your business.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well. Now recently I've done the talking head stuff a little bit here and there. Still probably not as much as I could. But I just find it so interesting how when I just put myself out there, my thought leadership, that's what even I had a shoot with an aesthetic clinic client in the studio on Sunday there, and he goes that one thing we love about your page, your marketing is how you come up on socials, how you talk to camera and explain things. He goes, it just feels so authentic, and it's just me being me. I
Yeah.
was like freestyling a lot of stuff, and
Yep.
that's what people were getting most value from. It's where most leads were coming in from. It's where most engagement was happening. I was just like, it mesmerized me because you know yourself being a creative, you just think of this cool shit hot video you've done and how much time you've done it, where you've got the music, the sound
It's like,
effects,
oh,
the grading.
here's my story, and this is the other thing is that I've said this so many times is that what creators unfortunately are doing is they're falling for all these other creators whose clients are creators, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what creators do is they make content that's for creators, not for their clients. So it's like, oh, let me tell you my journey of me as a creator or creator. I even hate the word creators. I think it's an absolute
mm,
bullshit word, but it's like creators. Here's 5 things that you can do for your Instagram to look better. And I'm like, but that's not
yeah,
your client.
exactly,
You're not
exactly,
actually giving any clientele or any market any
100%.
value. So a really interesting thing that you've done, I think, was just say, fuck the creatives marketplace. You're not my clients. I don't need to pretend I'm
100%.
a business
I'll
coach
give
for
you
you.
I'll give you another good example of this. So like a lot of thing creatives do is they go to like creative networking events, and at these creative networking events, like very rarely I go to them unless there's like someone I know that's going that I kind of want to network with.
Yeah.
But everybody going to these events has all the exact same problems. There's probably a small group of them that are doing really well, but all of them with the same problems with identity, pricing, client work. Why would I want to spend most of my time when I'm trying to build a creative business to network with other people with the same problems, where I could network with clients that are going to provide the solutions to my problems? Because from a creative point of view, like you need to know where to spend your time, and it's the same like you said with the content aspect. Why would you want to tailor your content and your marketing to other creatives when it's not them that are going to be coming to you for work? It's going to be the clients in the business because that's who you're trying to provide a solution for. And I think that's what a lot of creatives forget. It's all about the clients at the end of the day. From a business point of view, it's not about the creatives
It's the
unless you're trying to be some TikTok content creator.
it's the difference between being in service and being served. And
Hmm.
if you constantly think that you need to be in service, then all of your actions orbit around servitude. How do I serve clients? How do I give service? How do I exist in servitude? But if you believe that a marketplace or everyone else is there to serve you in terms of giving you validation and giving you likes and giving you DMs, then you will create more content for that instead of
Hmm.
creating content that is you in service of other people or in service of clientele, should
Yeah.
I say. And I said it in a post where I said, unfortunately, what most creators are doing is they're acting like strippers who are going to work and they're going through into the back room where you get changed and
Yeah.
they're stripping for the other strippers when they forget there's an entire bar of clientele out there
Exactly.
with $100 bills that are supposed to be
I love that analogy.
putting them in your G-string. So, I've said talked a lot about strippers. I've never been to strippers. Maybe I should. So,
Don't go. I don't think there's one in Dubai. I don't think.
yeah, well, there will be some strippers in Dubai. There'll be extra underground, extra underground. Yeah, this was it's such a hard thing that I have to go through when I coach, where I'm constantly in a 50-50 of trying to direct a shooter as to what I know, not what I think, what
Mm,
I know is going to be beneficial for them in the long term. And you know better than most of how I talk to you and how I coach you to make you think about yourself so that
mm,
manifests and develops for 6,
yeah.
12, 24 months versus allowing you to be creative and express yourself because that's why you got into it in the first place.
Yeah.
Um, it's quite a heartbreaking process that I have to go through, mate. Where
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the time I'm crushing people's dreams, but I'm
Yeah.
like, trust me, please just trust me. In 2 years, you're going to be glad that I told you to forget thinking that you're a business coach and forget thinking that you need to do talk to cameras. And you did more celebrating your clients' wins and talking about your products and
Mm.
talking about service instead of talking about what creatively motivates you. It's a tough 50-50, mate. Really tough 50-50.
Yeah, and I think the first part it comes to is the education. Like for me is I only want to learn something from a certain area of my life from someone that's done it or that's made some sort of progress in that area. Like why would you want to take advice from someone that's not done it and act on that rather than someone that has done it? And it's finding the people that you can trust and like yourself, like you know what, he's done it before, he's worked with other creatives. Let's trust his advice because why would you want to go to somebody that's kind of not done it? Or if you think he isn't the one and you haven't done it yourself, then maybe it's not going to work yourself. So I think learning from the right people is important, and I think that's probably what where people get stuck in their own way. It's like
Well,
for me, learning is key in general. I think if you want to make any change in your life, like you have to learn something new. Otherwise, it's like the mind's a program. It will just keep doing the same thing on repeat. And if you don't take in new information, new ideas, new approaches, you don't have any data to know what direction to move in next.
here's a question for you. On learning, how do you actually learn? Right? And I know this sounds stupid, but in the creative sphere, I have so many people, so many of us, so many people that I
Mm,
deal with where we're neurodivergent, we didn't listen in school. Like
mm,
you're quite a geek.
yeah,
To put it in a way, you're a bit of a swap mate. You're like, cool, 5 years of uni, all these different kind of things. Like how do you learn? Because a lot of us struggle to even just turn the pages of a textbook or
mhm,
log in to
yeah,
educational modules. A lot of us are just too busy trying to get likes. A lot of us are too busy trying to be seen as some type of creator instead of trusting a structure or a process. So like what makes you learn? Is it just a belief that it's going to help you get somewhere, or have you got your own way to calm the mind and just sit down and follow your structures and do your education?
Yeah, a bit of both. I think I just realized when my life took a turning point and I started the business, it was that I realized that to grow, I need to learn new information. And
Mm.
it just kind of built that fire inside me that every time I try something new, I learn something new, I develop and I grow. And it was just that sort of system that I realized every time I do this, I learn something else, my life moves in another direction for the better. And yeah, I take my learning from a lot of different sources. So reading, journaling, and a lot. What most of it I would say is podcasts. Is like this is like the best day and age. I think for people that are struggling with anything, we live in that age where it's so easy to get information on anything. Like at the hands of our fingers, you can learn whatever you want in a split second. And it's such a valuable resource that people don't utilize enough. And it's something that I've always got something on because I enjoy listening or I enjoy reading into something. And it's not always been like so business or creative focus. Like lots of random things like psychology, stoicism. I think a lot of them have played a huge part in running a creative business and how I portray myself in the business because it's very psychology focused and it's how I make show up to clients, how I make believe in myself. I think they played a huge factor. The very first book I started was Marcus Aurelius's Meditations when I first started like the business, and I think just yeah, it's like I say, it ties into that element as well. Like learning something new, you need to kind of make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people. And if there's no actual people in your life you can surround yourself with, just use YouTube, Spotify, find podcasts, and listen to the right people. And yeah, you don't know where it can land.
I've just finished meditations for my third run, actually.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I said this to you, I said this to you years ago, dude, that one of the things that I think is quite a good routine to have is a day in the business, a day on the business. We
Yep,
talk about that in the
yep.
gold standard, but also what I do is theme days. And we need to
Mm,
remember that we always consume energy. We need to remember that you consume fucking light, you consume noise, you consume vibrations. We don't need to get too woo-woo about it. But as soon as you wake up, you need to theme what that day is going to be about. And people don't have to do it this way, but it's a way that helps me tick boxes of getting that energy in, where I'll have a day that's on the coaching business, I'll have a day that's on investments, and then I'll have a day that is on personal development. So let's just say I've got three
mhm,
themes and they just rotate. So I've got two business days a week, two investment days a week, and two personal development days a week, specifically probably masculine development, something like that. But as soon
mhm,
as you wake up, or as soon as I wake up, there has to be something playing all day that is in relation to what it is that I want my energy to be of that day. And it's wild that you've just said about stoicism and different things, because I remember years ago, clients
mhm,
would say to me, you're quite stoic. And this is when I was in like my late 20s, and I'm like, what the fuck does
mhm,
stoic mean? Like, I'm learning how to run game on women. I don't know what stoic means. And so, but that was also part of education that kind of paid off because even the dating game is a lot to do with sales and attraction,
mhm,
different things like this. But that sent me off a path. Well, am I now? I'm 38 now. That set me off on a path about 12 years ago of understanding a lot about grounding, peace, pillars, the masculinity, the stoicism element of it. And this even goes for women. Like, there's not a lot of there's business. I hate to say it, as a predominantly masculine energy
mhm.
area, not male. I
Yep,
just, I just mean masculine. Men can exercise their feminine elements just as well as masculine, but women find this out. They're like, okay, I need to be in my masculine quite
mhm,
a lot to execute well in business. But I mean, it's wild you say that because I've had so many conversations with friends and networking over the years where a lot of the people that just don't do well, for instance, in coaching, that don't do well in learning, that don't do
mhm.
well in business are usually because they've got no backbone or they've got no
Yep,
pillars, they've got no grounding. They're not necessarily looking at themselves and saying, who am I and what the fuck do I stand for? And even
yep.
stupid things like, are you, this is something that changed my life. How many times a day do you use the word sorry? Right? If you use the word sorry any more than once, maybe twice a day, then you've got no pillars that you're conducting yourself to. Because sorry is, I'm sorry I'm late. Oh, I'm sorry I said the wrong thing. Oh, I'm sorry I forgot the email address. Oh, I'm sorry I bumped into you. Oh, it's usually I'm sorry I'm late, or it's you're
Mm,
excusing yourself for not being able to show up to something that was required of you. So I can't, honestly, mate, I can't. I actually said,
I like that.
I nearly said sorry to one of my friends earlier, but, and it really got me because I was like, dude, when's the last time you needed to say sorry? And I was like, you failed your friend in that moment. It was actually one of the gold standard coaches that I'm bringing on, who's dealing with all the wellness and personal development that we're doing as well. And he messaged me and he was like, dude, are we doing an announcement on Instagram? Like, do you need me to share some stuff? And I was like, mate, I said this to you already. It was like, I don't really do big launches or anything. I look after our people first, and then I'll drip feed out content on it. And then I reread the message again, and I realized he said Instagram, as where previously I told him just general marketing. And then I typed him a reply, and I said, mate, I realized you just said Instagram. And I typed the word sorry. And I was like, my nervous system just went, holy crap, when's the last time you said the word sorry? And I realized in that moment, sorry was required
Mm,
because my assumption made me project onto a good friend of mine that he was wrong.
yeah,
And in that moment, I wasn't living up to what my pillars are, which are trying my best to at least be aware enough to understand why someone is communicating the way they are to me so that
mm,
I can give them back what they need, not just assume that they're wrong and then
yeah,
I end up mixing it up and saying sorry. So, how that kind of looks with shooters and different things, I understand that's a bit of an in-depth kind of way of looking at it. But mate, I'm sitting there and I deal with shooters that won't show up for sessions, won't show up for
mm,
business groups, won't show up for their marketing. And then I'm like, who are you? Like, who are you?
yeah,
You've given me this massive list of things that you want to achieve and
exactly.
all these big problems that you've got, but you're not willing to be a person of accountability.
Mm,
And it's not
yep.
even accountable to me. It's just being accountable to you and your own process of
Mm,
solving the problems that are in your life that are in the way of you having a better life. Um, yeah, what's your take on that? That kind of pillars and grounding and I want to be a certain person so that I can never be accused of not being that person. Because I think when you're accused of being
yeah,
the person that says sorry, who's always late, who doesn't show
yep,
up,
yep.
it's a slippery slope, man.
Yeah, I think for me, I treat business like a sport almost. And when you look at high performance athletes and the role that they put on themselves to be that person, they're just very drilled in what they need to do daily. And the ones that stand out and sort of beat that top 1%, it's not about that they're doing anything more than anything, it's they're doing less of things that which aren't taking them in that direction. And I think as well, when you've got these moments where you've kind of got to develop yourself, like you say, people might not be showing up to meetings or working on their business. It's because I think in these moments, it's hard to see, from my experience, it's hard to see what input you're doing in is related to what output, because it might take a certain period of time to see that development. And there's no light bulb
Those
moment where
words.
you're like, oh, I learned that from that book, or I done that from that meeting, and that's where it's put into place. It can be very gradual, and you don't know when it's going to kind of come to fruition. And it's like that. I think it was Alex Hormozy that said that he talks about the story of Slumdog Millionaire,
Mm.
and he doesn't win the £1 million because he's smart. It's because of 12 random moments through his life where he learned the answer to those questions made him win that competition. And it's you in the sort of learning phase and development of your business, you're going to have them moments where you just feel like you're doing a large volume of outreach, learning the sales process, learning how to market yourself, but it might not lead to fruition. It's hard to maybe track what's leading to what outcome. And I think that's why people don't tend to do it as much, but that's actually what's going to develop your business the most. It's those periods that you're learning. But yeah, when you see it, it's random. And I think people just want it all quick these days.
Building tissue, brother. Building tissue. That's all.
That's it.
That's all we've ever said. You don't need to hit a home run every time.
Exactly.
You just need to build tissue. You just need to be 1% better, bigger, or smarter, or something. You just need 1% of moving
Mhm.
forward, and that's it. That's all you need.
100%. And I think as well with the creative business or any business in general, with one client, you don't know where it could land. Like sometimes the
Mhm.
power of one is so powerful. You don't
Yep.
know the network they've got. You don't know what you're going to do for them that's going to reach out to other people. So yeah, small steps is the way forward, but just do them consistently.
Mate, I love it. What do you want to finish up on, dude? What do you want to? Because you know, I like my golden nuggets. I usually
Yeah,
in the 90th minute, I've usually got a
yeah.
little phrase or a paragraph to change your life. But I'll leave it with you, mate. What would you? I don't know if you were the shooter that was listening to this in line with everything that we've talked about. What was that? What would be the one thing that you would need to hear
Mm.
just now?
Um, Challenge the uncomfortable, get familiar with hearing no, and don't be afraid of the self-doubt you feel because everybody feels it. But in that uncomfortable stage that you might have to go into to learn, to develop, to ask the question, to meet the client, to network with that person, you don't know where it will land. So just do it and have no expectation, and that way you won't be disappointed.
Beautiful, mate. I love it, dude. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, mate.
No worries. Thanks so much for having me on, man. It's good catching up.
Thank you, brother.